Hi, I'm Claire. I'm, as F.A. said, from the Department of Theatre and Film. I'm here to talk about my dad and physical theatre. When I was born in Paris 44 years ago, my dad, Dean Fogal, was studying a special form of physical theatre. Since then, with incredible tenacity, he's taught and evolved that form here in Vancouver, consistently running a studio despite our crazy real estate prices, and steadily amassing creative wealth that he's passed down to me. But all of Dad's studios have disappeared. He founded Room to Move at Oak and Broadway with 20 instructors teaching everything you might want to study, and it was knocked down to make room for a new 7-Eleven. His studio on 4th Avenue was replaced by a pet grooming salon. For 15 years, we ran a school called Tuba Physical Theatre Center. When our building on 12th Avenue was demolished so posh condos could be built, we salvaged our floors and installed them in the Dominion building here on East Hastings, transforming unrented old storage rooms into beautiful studios. The landlord then tripled our rent, and when BC Gaming decided to withhold funds from arts groups, we had to close our doors. My father's experience then has been of fighting to preserve and grow one of the world's richest repositories of knowledge about physical expression in the body's vast capacity from a base that was constantly disappearing in a city that didn't appear to value his attempts. My dissertation celebrates my father's work and the creative treasure he's given me. The perpetual existence in our lives of an empty room, a bare space with a wood floor, quietly but powerfully affirmed the value of creation, of freedom of expression, of imagination, and ongoing learning. My father's work, which is a method of making the invisible visible, is called corporeal mime. Dad's teacher, Etienne Decroux, invented the form of corporeal mime in France to liberate the full expressive capacity of the human body to convey our inner life. Deploring pantomime as trite, comic, and literal, Decroux's corporeal mime was abstract, serious, and archetypal. He was building a bodily system to train humanity not to be bystanders, but to stand up and consider alignment not only physically but also philosophically. Corporeal mime seeks to enhance alertness, honesty, sensitivity, and courage, and Decroux felt that if it survived, then the world would survive. But my father's evolution of Decroux's work is not the only focus of my research. The other half of my creative inheritance comes through my mentor of 27 years, Kathleen Weiss, who co-founded Tuba with my dad in order to blend his corporeal mime with the Grotowski-based work that was her focus. Jerzy Grotowski's laboratory theater had managed to do incredibly brave, rebellious, and vulnerable work under the noses of state censors in communist Poland for 25 years, creating theater that was actually an antidote to totalitarianism. Grotowski sought to cultivate the essence of theater, the moment of honest and courageous exchange between human beings. Like Decroux's corporeal mime, his poor theater celebrates the power of an actor's body to transform before our very eyes, unassisted by fancy lighting, costumes, or special effects. Grotowski's commitment to inspiring agency and true communication was so pronounced that at the height of his company's international fame, he chose to stop producing shows and move instead into para-theatrical research, in part because he felt that the passive role allotted to spectators within theatrical convention left them no real option other than that of bystanders, and that was unacceptable after what had happened to the Jews in Poland. At Lascaux, human beings left their handprints and paintings of animals as an enduring legacy of their intelligence, creativity, and reverence for the world. In a theater studio, it's the reverse. The countless foot and handprints of artistic inspiration, that studio's vibrant repertoire of human expression, are invisible. As theater researchers, both Decroux and Grotowski passed on their knowledge orally and through physical practice, spending their lives on the floors of their studios in a quest for absolute corporeal integrity. Luckily, their work brought international recognition, and dozens of books are written on their accomplishments. My teachers, too, are masters of the studio floor, having spent decades evolving this research, rendering it more humane, filling in gaps, and taking it in important new directions. Though each of them is celebrated by the hundreds of students that they've taught over the years, none of their work is documented. My dissertation will shine a spotlight on the innovations of my teachers and of all the artists in Western Canada who are continuing the work begun by Decroux and Grotowski. Embedding video footage directly into my dissertation will, of course, totally enhance my ability to convey their wealth of physical knowledge and the detailed methodologies that they've evolved. My plan unfurls in phases. In June, my father and I head to France to dig down to the roots of these forms in various archives and trade knowledge with European members of these lineages to be able to compare Canadian developments from a broader context. I'll film my dad explaining his work outside of Decroux's old Paris studio. Next summer, I'll bring together 6 of Western Canada's most senior and least documented artists to discuss their unique contributions and share knowledge through collective embodied practice. With my father and many of my mentors now in their 60s and 70s, I'm eager to initiate and film this in-depth exchange. I'll also search throughout Western Canada to interview all the artists belonging to these lineages through email and compile as complete a directory as possible so that future students know where to find this work. I want to build a network amongst these artists since there's strength in numbers and validation within community. All of this work, connecting abroad, hosting locally, and reaching out across Western Canada, will seed the ground for a larger conference that I'll host, featuring a learning circle, public talks, demonstrations, performances, and a workshop series to make this work more widely accessible and hopefully globally appreciated. Our artists deserve to emerge from obscurity and take their place on the world stage. My dissertation is a vehicle to spark cultural dialogue, foster connections between artists, and put Western Canadian innovations within 2 of the world's richest theatre studio traditions on record to ensure their ongoing impact. Thank you.